section we describe the functions of thyroid hormone. The functions of thyroid hormone. Here the thyroid have an important role in the main body function. That means they influence, that is body functions. That is increase the metabolic rate, and increase the oxygen consumption, increase the protein catabolism, then that is it is an increase the heart rate, regulation of, that is brain developments, and decrease the circulatory cholesterol. These all are the important functions of the thyroid hormones. Here there is a thyroid hormone is essential for the growth and development. That is the first function. Here that is the thyroid hormone is responsible for the growth of skeletal growth, then ossification of cartilage, eruption of teeth, brain development. That's why thyroid hormone is essential for the growth. Here second function is thyroid hormone is essential for the brain development. That means the brain and nervous system, how the thyroid hormone act on this system. Here thyroid hormones are essential for the brain development, especially in the post-natal life and the growing children. That means at that time the tyrosine is secretion is increased, and this is necessary for the development. But the deficiency of this hormone during this period, the mental retardation is occur. That is the important proof this hormone is essential for, that is a brain development. Your next function is action on basal metabolic rate. Except the brain and retina and spleen, tissue and lungs, the almost all the tissue, the metabolic activity is increased in the presence of the thyroxine. So definitely it increases the oxygen consumption of these tissues. As a result of this, increase the metabolic rate, that is a BMR. Basal metabolism means the minimum amount of energy is required for the function at the complete rest. So this metabolic rate is increased because of the action of increase the BMR. This called as a calorigenic action of thyroxine hormone. In the hypothyroidism, BMR increases by about 60 to 100% from the normal level. That means the opposite of that one. That means the hypothyroidism in this case decrease about the 40% of the metabolic rate. That means finally, simple word, here the thyroxine, the thyroid hormone that increase the metabolic activity in the most of the tissue. That means increase the metabolic rate. Thyroxine action on the fat metabolism. Here thyroxine that increase the mobilization of fats from the adipose tissue. That means decrease the fat storage. Here the mobilized fats are converted as a fatty acid and transported to the blood. Here the action on on plasma and liver fat. Then what is the thyroxine action on the plasma and liver fats means? Here there is the thyroxine which decrease the plasma cholesterol and phospholipid and triglycerides level. That's why in the hyposecretion that increase the cholesterol, plasma cholesterol level, that lead to atherosclerosis. That means deposition of fats or cholesterol on the wall of the artery. That lead to some cardiac disorders. Now that is here, but the thyroxine or thyroid hormone that increase the deposition of fats on liver, that lead to a generation of a fatty liver. The next function is action on body weight. Thyroxine is important to maintain the weight of the body. When the thyroxine secretion is increased, then decrease the body weight, whereas the thyroxine secretion is decrease, then body weight is increase. Then next action is action on body temperature. Thyroxine hormone is increase the body temperature by accelerating all the metabolic activities. Thus, that is increase the BMR rate. Here it is also called out the thyroid hormone induced thermogenesis. That is the action on body temperature. Here the next action is action on carbohydrate metabolism. Here thyroxine influence the carbohydrate metabolism in all process. Here glycogenolysis, increase the glycogenolysis, the conversion of the glycogen to glucose. Then it is also increase the gluconeogenesis, that is glucose is formed from non-carbohydrate source. Then it is also increase the glucose absorption from the gastrointestinal tract. It is also increase the transport of glucose through the membrane. These are the important action on carbohydrate metabolism. Then the action on blood. Thyroxine increases the erythropoiesis process, thereby increase the formation of the erythrocytes. Erythropoiesis means a process in which the formation and maturation of the erythrocytes. So the hypersecretion of this thyroxine that may lead to the polycythemia, that is increase the number of the RBC. That may happen during the hyperthyroidism, and it is also important role in the increase the volume of blood. That is these are the important effect on blood. Action on vitamin metabolism. Here the thyroxine accelerate the formation of enzyme. The most of the enzyme formation, the vitamins are essential parts. These thereby sometime in the hypersecretion of the thyroxine that may lead to the vitamin deficiency, because the vitamins are utilized for the formation of enzymes. Here the action on heart. The thyroxine increase the heart rate, then cardiac output. It is also increase the force of contraction and increase the systolic blood pressure, but it decrease the diastolic blood pressure. This action is due to the cutaneous vasodilation and decrease the peripheral resistance. The hyperthyroidism may cause the skin become a warm and moist. Action on protein metabolism. By there is a tyrosine that increase the protein synthesis by many ways. That means the first one is increasing the translation of RNA. Translation is the process in which there is a protein synthesized in ribosomes. So the tyrosine accelerates the ribosomal activity, thereby more protein are synthesized. It is also accelerating the transcription. Transcription is the process in which the mRNA is formed from the DNA. So that is in this process is also increased by the thyroxine. It is also increased the activation of the mitochondria because the tyrosine action is apart from the nucleus. It is also increased the activation of the mitochondria. It is also another action means it is also increase the activity of cellular enzyme, especially the oxidative enzymes or cellular enzyme. These enzymes are responsible for the metabolism and is also responsible for the synthesis of protein. In this all way, that means by increasing the transcription, by increasing the mitochondrial activity, by increasing the translation process, by increasing cellular enzyme activity, these all that lead to the that is a protein synthesis. Reproduction and fertility. The optimal level of thyroxine is required for the normal function of gonads. That means here in childhood the hyposecretion of thyroxine hormone that leads to delayed onset of puberty. In female, the rhythmicity of ovulation and lactation can occur if the optimum level of thyroxine in circulation. The hypothyroidism that cause the increased menstrual bleeding in female, but the hyperthyroidism that lead to the absence of menstrual bleeding. Then in the male, hypothyroidism lead to the loss of libido, that is a sexual drive. Then hyperthyroidism that lead to the impotence. But these are the important functions. For the action on respiration, thyroxine increase rate and force of respiration increase indirectly. That means already we have learned that is thyroxine that causes the increased metabolic rate. So because of the metabolic rate, that increased demand of oxygen and formation of carbon dioxide. These both factors that stimulate the respiratory center that lead to that is the rate and force of respiration increases. Thyroxine action on gastrointestinal tract. Usually thyroxine increase the appetite and food intake. It also have an action on there is a gastrointestinal tract. Here it increase the motility. So the hyper secretion of the thyroid hormone that lead to the diarrhea has the hyposecretion that lead to the constipation. Here there is the skeletal muscles action. the normal level of thyroxine is essential for the proper function of the skeletal muscle, both in case hypersecretion or hyposecretion of this hormone that lead to the muscle weakness. In case of the hypersecretion, sometimes that is the spinal muscles become more, that is trimmer. That's why there is in both cases, that is in hyper, in both cases that lead to the muscle weakness. And how the thyroxine level influence the sleep, that normally that is for the normal sleep pattern, this thyroxine level is essential. But during the hypersecretion, the thyroxine that stimulate the muscles and nervous system, so the person feel tired and exhausted. So sleep-like effect is produced. But actual sleep is not produced because the stimulation of the nervous system. But in the case, in the hyposecretion of this thyroxine, that cause the sleepiness. That is the effect of the thyroxine on sleep pattern. Effect on central nervous system, already we have discussed the thing, but I forgot to tell the few points. Here both there is a decreased or increased level of the thyroxine that alter the mental state. There is a low quantity means the thyroid hormone cause the mental sluggish in individual, while high quantity of that is the thyroxine hormone that lead to the anxiety and restlessness. Thyroxine essential for maintaining the body weight. Here the thyroxine secretion is increased, means decrease the body weight and decrease the storage of fat, because thyroxine that mobilize the fat from the adipose tissue. But in case the hyposecretion, that is decrease the secretion of the thyroxine that lead to the increase the body weight, because that is hasten the fat deposition in the adipose tissue. Here there is a regulation of secretion of thyroid hormone. Usually the thyroid hormone secretion is regulated through the anterior pituitary and hypothalamus through the feedback mechanism. Here the many factors that influence the secretion of the thyroid hormone. The first one is the thyroid stimulating hormone that is secreted from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, which is essential for the thyroid hormone synthesis and release. Here the role of hypothalamus is the another important, that is structure. Here the hypothalamus that release, that is the thyrotropin releasing hormone. Because of thyrotropin releasing hormone only, the anterior pituitary is stimulated and secrete the thyroid stimulating hormone. So finally that increase the secretion of the thyroid hormone. Then feedback control means also there. From the figure you can see, whenever the thyroid hormone secretion is increased, thyroid hormone secretion is increased, so that inhibit the anterior pituitary, so thyroid stimulating hormone is not released because of the suppressive action. Same way, this thyroid hormone, increased level of thyroid hormone, that also inhibit the hypothalamus. This hypothalamus which suppress the secretion of the thyrotropin releasing hormone. This is the feedback control of, that is feedback control through the hypothalamus and to the anterior pituitary. Simple word, that is when the thyroid hormone is increased, so that definitely that inhibit the anterior pituitary to secrete the thyroid stimulating hormone, and the hypothalamus inhibit the secretion of the thyrotropin releasing hormone. So these both hormones are necessary for the secretion of the thyroid hormone from the thyroid gland. From this picture we can easily understand the thing, that is how secretion of thyroid hormone is regulated. The first one, there is a low basal metabolic rate, leptin, and there is alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone. So this cause the stimulation of hypothalamus. Once hypothalamus is stimulated, so the thyrotropin releasing hormone is released from the hypothalamus. Then that thyrotropin releasing hormone that stimulate the anterior pituitary. This anterior pituitary that secrete the thyroid stimulating hormone TSH. The TSH stimulate the thyroid gland to secrete the thyroid hormone, that is the V. Here the excess iodine intake, stress, somatostatin, glucocorticoids and dopamine that inhibit the hypothalamus to secrete the thyrotropin releasing hormone. So definitely it inhibit the thyroid hormone. These are the inhibitory factor, that is those factors which decrease the thyroid hormone secretion. Then sometimes there is a role, iodine role is also important. Here the iodine is an important factor regulating the synthesis of thyroid hormone. The level of the iodide in the blood is normal or moderate, that the thyroid hormone synthesis is also normal. But whenever the iodine content is more or intake is high, then this iodine that inhibit the enzyme which are necessary for the synthesis of a thyroid hormone. So the suppressing of this enzyme action by the iodide that lead to the inhibit the synthesis of a hormone. This effect of iodide is called as a Wolff-Chaikoff effect. WOLFF CHAIKOFF, Wolff-Chaikoff effect. But these are the important factors that regulate the thyroid hormone secretion. Calcitonin is the hormone which is secreted the parafollicular cells. The parafollicular cell which lies in between the follicular cells of the thyroid gland. The main action of the calcitonin is to decrease the serum calcium level. How it decreases the serum calcium level means by decreasing the resorption of bone. That means, what is the resorption means? Resorption is it is a process by in which osteoclasts break down the bone tissue and release the minerals like calcium and phosphorus to the serum. But this activity is reduced, thereby it reduces the entry of calcium into the serum, thereby decrease the calcium level. This hormone has an opposite effect of the parathyroid hormone. The parathyroid hormone which increase the calcium level. Here the second mechanism involved in the reduce the level of the calcium in the serum by it increase the excretion of the calcium by the kidney. The urinary excretion is increased. That is another important action. And by the both action that reduce the calcium level in the serum. Usually the calcium level is increased. That means this the serum calcium is stimulated by the high calcium level in the serum. It is also hormones like a gastrin and the secretin and dopamine, beta-adrenergic agonist. These substances are also secretion of the calcitonin is increased. So that's about the calcitonin. Calcitonin also increase the reuptake of calcium and phosphorus to the extracellular matrix of the bones. In all the way, that means the main action of the calcitonin is that decrease the serum calcium level. In some cases, the high calcium level, that means the calcium level is more than 9.5 milligram per 100 ml, that cause the release of or secretion of a calcitonin from the follicular cells. The normal concentration of the calcitonin in the plasma is 0.2 microgram per ml is the normal that is the level of the calcitonin in the plasma. These are the main actions